all you cool cats and kittens, Lola Tarantula here. So by now you've probably seen the absolute insanity that is Tiger King, and you might be wondering what to watch next. Well, I have put together a list of 10 movie and TV documentaries that will fill that Joe Exotic-shaped hole in your heart. Let's get started. Number 1, McMillens. McMillens is a 6-part HBO series following the McDonald's Monopoly scam. Like Tiger King, the show's quirky tone is juxtaposed with some pretty heavy topics like fraud and suspicious death. Along the way you meet oddballs like the scam's ringleader, Jerry Jacobson, a chronic manipulator who's currently on wife number 7. Then there's his accomplice, mobster Jerry Colombo, who at his strip club declared a church to prevent it from being closed. While the McMillens case is much more complex and extensive than Tiger King, it is told in a similar style, feeding viewers information bit by bit until the whole picture becomes clear. As far as crime shows go, this one is on the lighter end of the spectrum, so it's a nice easy watch during these stressful times. You can watch it on HBO Now or HBO Go. Number 2, Tickled. Tickled follows 2 journalists who decide to make a documentary about the world of competitive tickling. Initially, I figured this film would be a lighthearted exploration into a strange but ultimately harmless hobby. You know, like furries or bronies. But once I was about 15 minutes in, I realized it was actually something much darker. Tickled takes you down the rabbit hole of blackmail and exploitation. I don't want to say too much and give anything away, but if you're intrigued by the dark side of the internet, I strongly suggest you give it a watch. You can find Tickled on Hulu or for rent on Amazon. Number 3, the Berkeley Marathons, the race that eats its young. This documentary covers the Berkeley Marathon, one of the most challenging endurance races in the world. The race is held every year in the Tennessee backwoods, and the goal of the competition is to make it through 100 miles of rough terrain in 60 hours or less. Only a handful of people have ever made it to the finish line. I debated whether or not to put this film on the list. It doesn't do a very good job of setting up its runners as proper characters. You never really learn anything about them or their personal journeys, so it's hard to feel fully invested in whether they win or lose. Ultimately, I decided to include it because I was fascinated by the actual race aspect. It's interesting to see what specific strategies each competitor takes to deal with injuries and keep their energy up. I feel like this is one that's going to appeal a lot to people who like survivalist reality shows. If you have any interest in learning about this bizarre and very difficult race, you can check out the Berkeley Marathons on Amazon Prime and Tubi. Number 4, Murder Mountain. Murder Mountain explores the dangerous atmosphere surrounding Humboldt County's expansive marijuana industry. The county is notorious for disappearances and homicides, and the show paints a grim portrait of a community that is ripe with corruption from both the authorities and the citizens. Most of the series is focused on the disappearance of Garrett Rodriguez and the vigilantes that take the case into their own hands. But it also examines the growers' complex relationship with the legalization process. Of all the entries on this list, Murder Mountain is easily my favorite. I binged it all in one night. It's exclusive to Netflix, and if you're looking for binge-worthy content, I highly suggest you give this one a shot. Number 5. Freak Show. Freak Show is another series that highlights working in an unconventional industry. It follows Todd Ray, who leaves behind a successful music executive position to operate a freak show on Venice Beach. Unlike Joe Exotic, Ray operates his business strictly above the board, and most of his employees seem happy and satisfied with their jobs. Overall, Freak Show is more low-key than Tiger King. There isn't a lot of drama or backstabbing. One episode does briefly touch on the Lobster Boy murder case, but it's only a minor part of the show. Most of the episodes are focused on the performers, as they juggle their personal relationships with their lives in the freak show. Though a bit unusual, the Ray family is actually very wholesome. So if you're looking for something kind of weird, but also kind of upbeat, give Freak Show a watch. You'll find it on Amazon Prime and Tubi. Number 6, Tabloid. Tabloid covers the highly publicized 1977 case of Joyce McKinney, a blonde bombshell accused of kidnapping and raping a Mormon missionary. The victim, Kirk Anderson, refused to be interviewed, and her accomplice Keith May is dead. so the documentary is mostly just a character study of Joyce. She is quite an oddball, and it's difficult to tell how reliable her account of events is. Was she a good girl beauty queen trying to free the man she loved from a controlling cult? Or was she a kinky call girl with a dangerous obsession? While the film may be called tabloid, it does a good job of stripping away the headlines and revealing McKinney as she really is. Honestly, many Errol Morris films could have made this list. I selected tabloid because I think Tiger King fans will enjoy the sensationalism of the manacled Mormon case and draw parallels between Joyce McKinney and Joe Exotic, or Joyce McKinney and Carol Baskin. If diving into the mind of a manipulative narcissist is your thing, you can look for Tabloid on Hulu or for rent on many other platforms. Number 7. The Legend of Cocaine Island. The Legend of Cocaine Island might as well have been called Florida Man the movie. The Florida man at the center of this tale is Rodney Hayden. After getting hit hard by the 2008 recession, Hayden goes on a quest to find $2 million in cocaine that is rumored to be buried in Puerto Rico. The film uses clever edits and comical recreations starring Hayden himself to capture the absurd nature of this story. The documentary never tries to make Hayden more likable, but it does come off as sympathetic to his situation. That doesn't mean the filmmakers are afraid to mock his dumb criminal antics. In fact, Hayden seems to take pleasure in mocking his own stupidity. The events in the film come off as completely unbelievable, but you know what they say, truth is stranger than fiction. If you want to see how Breaking Bad would have gone down if Walter White was an absolute dumbass, you can watch The Legend of Cocaine Island on Netflix. Number 8. Camp Hollywood. Camp Hollywood follows the lives of the residents living in a rundown Hollywood hotel as they try to make their dreams come true. The film isn't particularly well made. The lighting is often poor and there are no fancy editing tricks, but that's kind of what makes it work. The amateurish quality adds a level of authenticity. It strips away all of the Los Angeles glamour. Camp Hollywood isn't trying to sell you some sanitized American Idol version of showbiz. Instead, it shows you the brutal truth, that sometimes even hard work and talent just doesn't cut it. If what you liked about Tiger King was learning about the odd characters and their personal hardships, you might consider giving Camp Hollywood a watch on Amazon Prime. Number 9. Finders Keepers. Like Tiger King, watching Finders Keepers feels like being tossed into the center of some backwoods circus. The story of Finders Keepers begins with John Wood losing his leg in a plane crash. He decides to keep the leg and stores it in an old grill. He forgets about it and sells the grill to Shannon Wisnett, who turns the leg into a tourist attraction. What ensues is an all-out battle for the custody of the leg. The film isn't just about the leg, though. Instead, it is a story of two broken men trying to cope with trauma, guilt, and lost dreams. If you like your tabloid trash with a side of humanity, you can rent Finders Keepers from Amazon or YouTube. Number 10. Evil Genius, the true story of America's most diabolical bank heist. Evil Genius attempts to get to the bottom of the mysterious death of Brian Wells, better known as the Pizza Bomber. In 2003, Wells walked into a bank wearing a collar bomb and demanding money. He was soon apprehended, but police failed to remove the bomb in time and it detonated. It's never been clear if Wells was a hostage or a willing participant. The story of Evil Genius is so much bigger than Wells, though. There's a body in a freezer and another dead pizza delivery guy. Then there are the possible suspects, Marjorie Deal Armstrong and Bill Rothstein. Much of the documentary is centered around interviews of the two, and like Joe Exotic, they're not the most reliable of narrators. Deal is a woman that is very cunning, but also very mentally ill. She has a long history of lovers who have died under mysterious circumstances. Rothstein is a lifelong underachiever who was intensely obsessed with her. I like this series because it's a brief 4 episodes, so it doesn't overstay its welcome like some other crime docs. It also does a great job of showcasing the complex pathologies of the people involved. You won't get all of your questions answered in the end, but I think you'll enjoy all the twists and turns of the ride. You can watch Evil Genius on Netflix. Okay guys, that wraps up today's video. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Tiger King, and let me know if you think Carol Baskin killed her husband. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.